Hey, brand babies, this is your ghetto country grandmother, and I am here with my lovely Heather Crank. Y'all, I love this chick so much. She is so amazing. And it's not just because of her artistic ability, but it's because of her heart. I see her just push everybody out into the forefront. She pushes them out more than she pushes out herself. And that just touches me because so many people think that, you know what, I'm all about self. And she's more about being selfless. And I love that about her. But I'm going to let her introduce herself in her own way. So come on, Miss Heather Crank, tell them who you are, what you do, and how fucking amazing you are.
Wow. Thank you, Phyllis. That's a great intro. Oh my God. It's true. I am really selfless, but it's just because I get a lot of inspiration. I'm really excited about people's creativity. I love engaging with creative people. It really lights me up a lot. And I don't know. I mean, why else do what you do if you don't love who you're surrounded by and you're not inspired by what you're seeing? There's really no point.
Very true.
So I am currently a motion designer, graphic designer. I'm moving more into the controversial AI art, which is a whole nother
I know.
ball of wax.
And we can touch on that for a minute. Let me ask you, because I'm all for technology to a certain degree, but I guess because I've been exploited myself, but then also knowing that there are people out here who are just for the money. And anyone who's able to use that technology well, that does not have an artistic bone in their body, is going to be able to hype themselves up because they got a big ass personality. They're going to hype themselves up and take money away from someone who is truly talented. So how does that work for you?
That's a big issue. I'm working right now with a collaboration with a guy, and we're doing an experiment where he and I are competing using AI. I'm using it as an artist. He's using it as a non-artist, and we're going to see what the difference is in the type of work we produce. My hope with AI is there will be sort of a baseline, I think, where that's true. I think a lot of production jobs will be taken over. I think there'll be a lot more competition for people who aren't artistic. I see the pitfalls there, and my hope is that those of us who have a whole lifetime of knowledge around art and design and studying, and God, I can't believe I can finally use art history. All of that stuff that I thought I would never use goes into it. So what I think will happen is you're going to see a lot of work that looks a lot of the same. A lot of the same is terrible English. It looks the same.
So bad English is my thing. Come on with it.
That was terrible. So it'll be like, well, kind of like it is now, where there's a zillion robots and wizards and sci-fi stuff, and it all I can tell it's AI immediately. It has a look to it. My hope is that people who are artistic won't just go for what's easy and will push it, and it will look very specific and unique to the artist. That's my hope, because what enables people like me who are small studios to do is to take on bigger clients, be able to do a lot more work with without a lot of sacrifice on my end. I can generate comps very, very quickly, which normally would take me a week. And a bigger company might not look at me because they don't think I could handle whatever big job. So I'm hoping oh my God. I'm hoping it will level the playing field. This is your fault, Phyllis.
We're going to take a detour right quick. You should have heard the interview I did with Wolf. He was trying to get me, and I'll probably fuck it up right now. He was trying to get, well, he wasn't trying. I was trying to say regenerative. And I fucked that up like every daggone time. I could not say it correctly until I stopped talking to him. So trust him,
Wolf.
You will see it all.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's all you. It's all you.
Me. It's all me. I embrace the bad English of it all. Yes.
But I agree, to get back to that, I completely agree. There is a dark side to it.
But there's a dark side to anything, and I get that. That's why I think that's why so much stuff is like, we're like, well, fuck it, we knew it was coming anyway. But why is that acceptable? That should not be acceptable. I think artists should come together and make sure that it's not dominated by non-artists. Just because you
Yes.
can speak to a machine and have it push out something, don't let them have that voice because they're hype. If you weren't doing anything that was graphic design related before AI, then I'm gonna call you out on your bullshit. Sweetie,
Yep.
no, this is all AI. You don't even know what you're looking for when you talk to this AI and what to tell them to do. So
Yeah.
I hope that there's a banding together, at least on that level, to not let that happen to that industry. So
Oh, I can't agree more. I actually keep encouraging people in the industry to get into it. A lot of them are like, I'm not touching it. It's bad for artists. And my feeling is jump in now, because if we don't jump in and have a voice and kind of populate the people who are using AI, we're screwed. Like, we
yeah.
have to get in. The genie's out of the bottle. It's not going back. AI has been everywhere for about 5 years. It's just moving now into the visual sector. And now, you've got Chat GPT and all this stuff. So it's here. We have to learn how to use it and to our advantage. So I agree. I really, it upsets me when I see people railing against it. It's like, it's not going to do you any good. Like, jump in and have a voice.
Now, you know what? Me being older, because I tell my daughter, because my daughter's 15, I had her when I was 42, so I'm an old ass mom. But I tell her, I was like, you know what? I just know I don't want to die early, but I'm so glad I won't be when this stuff goes full blown. I am so glad I will not be here for that shit. I don't want to have to count me a Bitcoin and all the other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I can still use dollars in my lifetime. But it's I understand that it's coming, and I'm not a big AI fan. And I recently found that out in a way that there was something that someone suggested that I use a resource so that I can automate. And I'm all for automation to a certain degree, but I'm very much a people person. I don't need you to
Right.
automate all of my shit.
Yeah.
It was when I went to the site and I looked at the thing and the automation that it would put out, it just gave me anxiety. It's like a content calendar makes me itch. But I looked at it, but I realized I'm giving up control. And I'm allowing this thing to control this part of what I want to put out. And while that's fine to a certain degree, I don't want to take my hands completely off. And what you're asking me to do when I use this resource is to take my hands completely off. That will not happen. I am not like a crazy ass control freak, but this shit does not sit well with me. So I don't know if I will ever fully embrace AI, but I know at some point in my life, I will probably tolerate AI.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I don't want, as an artist, I will allow it to help me to a certain point, but I want it to be me, not,
Yeah.
something else. And the same with writing. I think for some copy I would use it, but if I'm writing an article,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
want it to be me. And I know that AI can imitate me, but how can I put this? There is a quality. Like, even if I'm generating artwork, if my hand doesn't touch it, I can tell, because it has a different feeling, and I don't know how to put that into words.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. Well, then let's get on into this about your brand then,
Okay.
because you have Heather Crank, who's an artist and artistic, and she's just amazing in that realm. But then you also have your brands. Pronounce it for me, because I don't even ever think I've heard you say it out loud.
It's Cremonti. It's my last name
Monty.
and my husband's last name combined.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell me about the Cremonti brand. What is that supposed to be?
Oh, so originally, my husband and I formed that when I left my corporate job, and his last name is Amonti. So Cremonti. My last name is Crank, because I'm uber feminist and never considered taking a last name, even though his is far superior. It's a much, much nicer last name. And he refuses to hyphenate with Crank, which I can't blame him. So, it's a weird last name. Okay. So, we thought we would kind of put our talents together at that point and see if we could kind of have our own thing. We were both really tired of working. At that time, he was working for a mannequin. He worked in how did they put this? He worked for a company that made mannequins for Nike. So
Okay.
he was in a group and it was a lot of they made a lot of mannequins. So it was like a high production kind of job.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the particulates were bad. It wasn't a good situation. So we thought, what can we do with all of our skill that we could have some freedom, have some voice over how we work, what kind of work we do. So we developed Kermonti and we moved from Denver to Oregon.
Okay.
Um, and so it's been about almost 6 years now we've been doing this, and it's had a lot of a lot of
Ebb and
incarnate,
flow.
yeah. And yeah, so that's what Kermonti is. It is changing again right now.
Okay. How is it changing right now?
So I have the Heather Crank, which is most of my personal work. I
Mm-hmm.
separate that from the Kermonti, which is most of my client work. Um, so right now, I have been moving more into AI, more into art director roles, less. I really want to get out of being a hired gun. I'm
Okay.
so tired of
Okay.
that lifestyle. And my husband is moving into working with me more. Um, let me go back. In the past, when we worked together, we would create exhibits. So
Okay.
we would design them together. I'm the tech, he's the building and the hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
But he also has an incredible design aesthetic and amazing compositional skills. So we'd really work together and sometimes bring in my friend Jason, who's sort of like our third person when we need somebody.
Uh-huh.
The pandemic hit, all exhibits went away. So we've been kind of thinking about how can we change this into more of a digital format?
Okay.
How do we take the exhibits and how can he continue? He's totally hands-on. His How can we apply his skill set and my skill set in a new way? So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay. And I saw the one piece that he did, because I know he showed the images because he does not share a lot on social media.
No, he's bad.
But I saw that one piece that he did. Did you design that, or was that just all him? That one piece, I think it was the poetry on the wall, and then the
It was
drawing.
all him.
Okay.
That was his. So he wanted to um that was a really personal piece actually. He had a family tragedy that happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was given an opportunity at an art gallery in Seattle to create an installation. So I I advised on that piece, but that was pretty much all him.
Okay.
Um, and that was kind of a very new direction where it was more of a installation. He hand wrote the poetry on the wall, and it was where he was moving a little bit more away from um how can I put this, sculptural stuff, and
Okay.
more into how can I work 2D, which is probably where we are moving more
Uh-huh.
towards.
Okay.
Or how do we take something 3D and put it into something like, you're going to hate this, the metaverse.
Okay.
So
Sweetie,
I'm
whether I
trying.
hate it or not is not the issue. Is it possible? If it's possible, then we need to make it happen.
So we're trying to figure out where does it fit. And that piece, I thought, for him, that was to not have my help and do that on his own, that was a big jump.
Mm-hmm.
It was a totally different way of working.
Yeah. Okay. So with this thing coming together, and who do you guys normally serve with this? Is it just museums, or are there events where you guys can do installations? Tell me about that?
So we used to do a lot of work for design conferences.
Mm-hmm.
We did some work for some other type of like conferences, not necessarily design, but where a lot of people would
Yeah.
gather.
Mm-hmm.
We would create interactive pieces for people. So our purpose was not only to showcase people's logos and taglines, but also to encourage people to interact with each other in a space.
Okay.
Because if you've ever been to a networking event,
Yeah.
you get like the extroverted people are all together and the introverted people are all like me over in the corner. So we would try and create spaces that would encourage interaction. So
Okay.
and so we could move back into that again. But how would we do that now post pandemic? Like, what does that look like? Or I
Okay.
guess we're not technically post, but
Yeah.
supposedly.
And people can go back into shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys want to continue to work together. You want to continue to do installation type work,
Mhm.
and technically this can go anywhere. Any place that you have space and opportunity, you guys can set up.
Yep.
Is there some place specific that you want to work? Is there some place specific where you want your artwork and your pieces to show up besides the metaverse? No, I ain't hating on the metaverse. I'm just saying right now in real life, we can get to
Yeah.
the metaverse
Yeah.
because we got to figure out how that whole thing works. All right, I
Yeah,
got
that whole thing's got its own stuff going on. Yeah. We were thinking it would be really fun to work for museums, science exhibits would be fun, like places like OMSI would be great venues for us. They did a beautiful exhibit for Van Gogh at the Portland Art Museum where it was all interactive. Um, any kind of museum or learning or educational
Okay.
environment is really good for us. I
So
even
there's
thought,
travel involved with what you're doing.
oh yeah, bring it on.
Okay.
We love
All right.
travel, so
All right.
travel is great. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Because I'm if we're doing this around that type of thing, do you guys do contract work in that, you know what, you change out the installations every month or every quarter or something like that? Do you ever try and get contracts like that?
We have not done contracts like that. They've been usually one-offs and usually once a year. For there's like when does it start? Like the fall through December seems to be the conference season for
Uh-huh.
everybody. It would be amazing to branch out like that because that would give us more stable income.
Yeah,
That's a great
definitely.
idea.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm thinking is like if you're doing these installations and they have like some type of theme, if there's a theme that you want
Mm-hmm.
that you know goes with certain venues, then maybe those are the ones that you start to build your brand around because I'm all about you building your brand around you first. So it has to be what the fuck you want. But
Right.
then if that's that thing, then now you go find locations that are conducive to that. And so as you find these places, like, you know what, how about we do this every quarter? And especially
Mm.
since there are certain things, it's like we come in, we break it down, we break down the old, we put up the new, and that way they don't have anything that's stagnant, and your name gets to be attached all year. And like you said, it's also creating a consistent income. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you do, say, like if you have a different one that you do every month, but it's rotating out these 5 or 10 clients or whatever, where it's like, okay, I'm consistently doing this, but I only have 5 clients and I still make my 200,000 a year at least, or something to that effect.
Right.
And
I love that.
that does not take away from the stuff that you do on the regular, like the smaller things. Like, you know what, we're just doing a private event, so we're doing an installation for a private event. Um, and that's another place that you can go. These are
Mm-hmm.
your bigger pieces, but then are there people that put on, say, people that put on annual parties? Maybe there's a
Right.
small,
That's a great idea.
yeah, you can do a smaller installation. It's like, you know what, we did this for this event, how about we bring a smaller version over here? And
Mm-hmm.
so now they get to have the opportunity, like, oh, this was in this big ass museum and we get a smaller version. And
That's a great idea.
yeah, and so you set it up for the event and you break it down, but you probably use different materials because you want something lighter for a quick turnaround, because it's
Right.
only going to be up for 4 to 6 hours or however long the party is, and
Yeah.
then you break it down.
That's a great idea. Yeah. I love that. I love that. That's great. I never thought of that before.
Yeah. And especially since you guys are working together, and because this is based on travel, the travel expense is part of the price.
Right.
And everything. So you don't have to worry about that piece of it. It's like, how am I going to get it there?
Mm-hmm.
All of whatever you're doing is based on the contract that you create around, you know what, the materials are there, we'll be there, we set it up, we're there overnight or however long it takes. And then, like I said, especially if you're able to turn it into a contract of, you know what, we switch these out quarterly. So maybe
Right.
this is the theme for the year. You have 4 different pieces already set up for them. So you can show them the 4 different pieces that they're going to get. And you already get the buy-in for it before they even have to be set up. Because if you have an opinion about it now,
Mm-hmm.
versus because they already have their calendar for the year, whether it's fiscal or calendar year, They know what
Right.
they're looking for the year. It's like, okay, these kind of
Yeah.
work, but can you switch this one up a little bit? So then you already have your calendar plotted out for what you're going to do that year. And because they're bigger installations, they charge a bigger price and you don't have to do so many.
Right. Which would be great. Yeah. That would be great. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like doing them, but fewer and more money is always
Yes.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like I said, working that around, building your brand around that, and the C.A.M.P brand, it's
Mhm.
like, okay, how do we begin to tell the story of this is how we do work? Because the thing about it is you're going to have to start training clients on this
Mhm.
is how I work. When they come at you and they want a one and done installation, and it's like,
Right.
well, we don't really work like that. Let me give you an option. Because
Oh,
maybe they don't do everything every quarter, but you know what? Can we just get it twice a year? Oh, of
right.
course. Because like I said, you're able to plan out your work better and you have different packages because okay, we need it every quarter versus we only need it twice a year. My annual people, I'm gonna kick y'all to the curb as soon as I fill up my calendar because
Right.
I no longer want one and done type of work.
Yeah. Yeah. The one
Makes
and done
sense?
is, yeah, that's rough work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Mhm.
so and you can probably have a rotating thing as well. It's like, okay, this piece will be over here for this quarter, but then we're going to move it over here. So you don't
Oh,
have to come up with a whole nother design.
that's a great idea. Yeah. I love that. That's really smart, Phyllis. I like how you think.
Because people are constantly talking about work smarter and not harder, and I get it, but sometimes we got to get out of our own way, and you need some help to think about some of these things. And like I said, I know you've been doing this for a while, so now how is it that you can work smarter? And then
Mhm.
even being able to because here's another stream of income coming, okay? So then also those bigger installations, probably making a home version size that maybe they're
Mhm.
limited edition pieces
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
that you can
Yeah.
put on your website.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what, this piece has shown up in this, and because they're limited, they cannot buy it at the souvenir shop within the museum. They can only get them from you, and they're priced at a higher price point because they're only 10. And no two are exactly the same because
Mhm.
they're handmade.
Right.
And then also when those total installations come down out of the museum or out of the piece that they were at, these people are still able to claim a piece. So you might actually make more money selling this limited edition
Mhm.
because they get to keep it forever versus what was in the museum itself.
Right. That's a great idea too. Yeah. We actually that happened one time. We made an installation and there was a man in town who has a film festival and he said, "Can I keep this piece?" And we were like,
Mhm.
"Okay." And so it's now up in his office, but you're right. You're 100% right. That's I had for some reason I had not uh, monetized or put money or attach money to the idea that those things could be worth something. So
Yeah.
that's super helpful.
Yeah. And like I said, now it's about building your brand around this. We do limited edition installations. So it
Oh,
hits a little different.
yeah,
So
I like that.
yeah. And so you're able to do these bigger pieces for these bigger places, but then maybe there are smaller pieces that you do, and when they see the smaller piece, can this be escalated to a larger version for our space?
Mhm,
So
mhm,
even if now you have all of these smaller things on your website that they could possibly look at, like this is a miniature version of what we're going to put here, and so
mhm.
they get to pick which installation they want. So you always know what you have, and so when you decide to archive them and phase them out, we're not doing that anymore. And
Right.
so now you might even have a one of a kind piece that's small that you know what is going up for auction.
Mhm.
You cannot just, and this is not like $5 auctions. This is serious auction because this piece is no longer available because we're phasing it out. And that
Right.
always keeps you fresh and relevant.
Oh, I like that too. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of her last name. Kusama, the lady who paints with the dots,
Uh-huh.
is doing something really similar right now. I think it's with Louis Vuitton, and she has this amazing installation that she and Louis Vuitton are creating together. I'm going to send it to you. It's so incredible what they've done, but I could see them doing exactly what you're talking about. That's really smart.
So how do you think that we can approach this and get you guys started on this? What would you think your first step would be? If you did not have a brand strategist like me, how do you think you would make this first step? What would be your first step in getting this done?
Well, I think the way I represent myself would probably need to change. I need to show proof that we do that and
Mhm.
um, adjust the copy for sure. So I think that would be number one. And it's something I'm working on right now anyway, is the how we what our positioning statement is, where I've been adjusting and kind of massaging trying to get that to sound good. Um, so I think, having the positioning statement really clear, maybe have an outline of how to work with us, what the expectations are. Yeah, and then we need examples of work. We're gonna have
Okay.
to make some stuff.
So tell me who would be your low hanging fruit, like the easiest one to get one of your installations into, and then who would be
Mhm.
your dreams? Where would your dream space be?
So I think, clients we have right now would be the low hanging fruit. People we've
Okay.
already worked with who like working with us. I
Okay.
could pitch to them and say, "Hey, we're doing this new thing. Here's, it's 2023. Here are our new um, terms of engagement, I guess."
Mhm.
And then dream client would be like, hmm, I think something like, but that would be more personal, would be creating something for like Art Basel in Miami or like some major uh show, or even um creating work or setting up installations for art museums, for like a Portland Art Museum, or um uh, Guggenheim, MoMA. I mean, I could just go
I know. I know.
any museum, science related, probably in a city, most likely,
Yeah, because
but
what
I
is it?
wouldn't limit it.
Um, the one that we used to go to when we lived in LA was California Science Museum. I could definitely see you putting something in
Oh,
there because they
yeah.
have when Morgan was smaller, they used to have this section that was just for kids that was very interactive
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff. So it's I know there are all type of spaces where you can go, so it's not limited, but
Mhm,
then you also command a higher price because if we're talking about doing this year-long thing where you change out the four whatever, then you have these set clients that you work with all the time. But then
mhm,
when you're ready to go to that next price point, because you're in demand now and because you've limited yourself, you know what, we had 10 clients all year, but now we have other clients clamoring for us to do installations for them. So now
mhm.
you go to a higher price point and one of those clients has to fall off. So you do have to be ready for that part of it. Um, Unless you decide like I'm just going to add one more client, but then like I said, because you're exclusive to these particular museums, they only get you exclusively for 1 year. You either
Oh, that's
renew
smart.
at your new price
Mhm.
or you don't renew at all because you have a waiting list of people who want your installations within their spaces.
So how would you go about negotiating something like that? If you have a client and you want to limit your terms with them, or someone has to fall off, like, how would you do that?
If you're not renewing a contract, then it is just that. It's with the understanding that you know what, when you're ready to change, not that the year is up, but when you're ready to change, when you think you're at a different level now,
Mhm,
because you have all of this attraction,
mhm,
then you
mhm.
get to decide, okay, who's your worst client? Who don't you want to work with anymore? Who gave you the hardest time? Who got on your last fucking nerves? They might be the first to go, even though they paid the most money. But that's also because this person is willing to pay more than that, the money that you're losing.
Right,
So it's with the understanding that you know what, this is a business. And I know
right.
art is very personal, but for you, this is a
Oh,
business.
it's a business.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's a business. So you
yeah.
have to come in with the energy that uh, give me an example. When I had my restaurants, I hired family. And I
Right.
had to adopt the mantra, I will fire my fucking family. Because I cannot hire somebody that I cannot fire. And
Right.
so I was very clear in that. And anybody my family that worked for me, and actually it was only two, but they knew very well. I have no
Mhm.
problem firing my family. It doesn't mean that I don't love you. It doesn't mean that I can't come over for Sunday dinner or whatever, unless you just hate me because I fired you. That's on you. I ain't got no ill will. You just messing with my money. but like I said, it has to be comfortable for you. Are you willing to let this client go? And I'm not talking about chasing the next high paying client, but making sure that you're going on the path that you want, so that when you do get into these next spaces, it's like, you know what, I'm moving in a different direction, because your art might mature and go in a different direction where it no longer fits the clients that you currently have.
Yeah.
So now if your style has changed and it no longer fits their aesthetic, then it's like, I would not do that to you, and I'm not going to do it to me. I love it. And I might try and bring another piece. Maybe you give them a piece because and maybe you let it be a parting gift. The last one that you do, you get to keep. Or maybe it's in your contract. You know what? Yeah. Because I'm about to level up, I'm gonna let this piece go for this. And if you don't want it, then you know what? You auction it off. That's their choice.
Idea. Yeah.
So at least they have some lingering piece that was done by C.O.D.E or Heather Crank or or Greg and all of that kind of stuff. So there's that piece.
That's a great idea. That's a really great idea. I like that a lot, because it's true. As my skill increases and I move around in different genres, it definitely changes.
Yeah,
definitely. And then it doesn't work for certain clients anymore, because I don't want to make what I made 5 years ago. That's boring.
Yeah. And see, their style might stay the same, but yours is changing. Yours is ever maturing.
Yeah.
They're just, because like, especially if they're like say, if they're California based, or, you know, their aesthetic or their expectation of their brand has to stay the same. Okay. We no longer fit. I got to move on.
That's true. Yeah. That's a really good point, Phyllis.
And you have to be careful of them locking you into longer contracts, because now they see that you're in demand. They will probably try to lock you in longer. So you have to be prepared for that as well. So then if that's the case, you know what, with every new year, then there's an increase of say 20%. So whereas this year, if you decide that you want a longer contract, say you want me for 3 years. So every year it now increases by 20%. So instead of 100,000, now you have to pay me next year 120,000.
Right.
So I'm willing to stay, but it has to change, because now it might be eating at my soul that I don't want to do your shit anymore, because I found something else that like caught me. But I can't do it anymore because I'm in this 3-year contract. So you got to pay me for being pissed off.
More people would pay me for that. That's great. Okay. I love that.
But that's what it is. It's like, if I got to stay here, it's not that I don't enjoy it, but this is not where I want to be anymore. Right. And because I'm not allowed to move on, like I said, you paying for them, they paying you for being pissed off.
Oh my God, Phyllis. I love that. That's really good. But you know, it's true. It's like something that it took me a while to come to terms with, is that I'm not going to want to do the same thing forever. And I didn't, when I first started out, I didn't think about, what if I grow? What if my style develops? What if I don't match with certain people anymore? Just like, you know, any relationship, right? If it doesn't grow with you, it's out.
It's out. It's dead. It's gone. And you got to let it fall off.
I'm getting a really great visual.
So tell me about this visual. What are you seeing? What are you seeing?
Oh, just a big clump of something falling off. Like, you know, it's yeah, that's what.
See, when you say it like that, I'm thinking of a big ass wart or something.
Yeah, it's kind of what I think. It's like it's visual person.
There you go.
Yeah. It does. It becomes like a burden if it does. You know.
And I imagine it's even more so for you. Like I said, being a visual person, it's like, oh, I'm ready to try something new, or I'm ready to try a different medium, or now I want to shape this differently. And that's why I say, if you know what if you plan out what their installations are going to be for the year, like every quarter, you know that I have not done this piece yet. And so you're still excited about that last piece, because you've designed it, but you have not built it. And so there's always an excitement going to the next project, because it's like, oh, I get to try some new shit. And then by the time you've gotten to that last piece and you've done all those other ones before, it hits different. It's like, oh, what am I going to try next year? So while they're still waiting for you to finish the installation for the end of the year, you're already planning out maybe next year or the year after.
Right.
And then also, like I say, the some of the installations get to live longer because they can move from this space over to here. We're going to tear it down and we're going to move it over here to this client because now they want it. And there's never a question of, oh, well, it's used. No, baby, this is not used. If I got to tear it down and build it up again, don't be trying to dick me on my price. No, it's still the same price.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. So, but what about if you have a client that you really love, that they've been great to you, but you're outgrowing them?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you navigate expressing something like that and showing gratitude for the opportunities they've given you?
Um, for someone like that, it will be a sincere apology because it'll probably make me cry and break my heart
Yeah.
because I do have to sever that relationship.
Yeah.
But it's with the understanding that if I can ever offer anything again, or maybe one of the installations that no one is ever using again, I could bring it back here on occasion. You can't have
Okay.
everything, but I don't want you to think that I'm leaving this because I don't care. But
Right.
I do have to move on. My business has to grow. And
Right.
so I'm willing to maybe offer you something further down the line. But right now, I do have to spread my wings and grow because there's something else calling me.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, breaking up with clients is not easy. And sometimes you don't
Hmm.
want to see any of them go, but they no longer fit. People are here for a reason, a
Right.
season, or a lifetime. And clients are not lifetime all the time. This is not Target and Walmart kind of shit.
No.
So it's not generational. You
No.
are an artist.
And I also notice it seems like there is it's about every 3 years there's a life cycle to clients, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
noticing about every 3.5 years there seems to be like a growth phase where they'll disappear, or I realize I need to get a new client.
Yeah, you need space.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think that lends itself to your level of creativity. It's like, okay, I'm bored with this. I need to create
Hmm.
something new. And people who understand the artistic vision, as you said, especially when you're a visual person, if they
Hmm.
understand that artistic vision, they know that it grows. And it's like it's time to move on. It because if it was a one and done, you would paint one piece of art and you would never have to paint again. It does not work like that.
It doesn't work
It
like
does
that.
not work like that. So I
No.
can't keep producing the same work, especially if it's just sitting here. So if you
Right.
had something at Scale House, if you have
Yeah.
a piece in there and there's something about that piece, like I say, now you have to do more marketing though. And
Right.
but you're marketing this piece is like, okay, this installation is coming out of here. Where will it go next? So
Right.
maybe now you go to that next client because you've been marketing it all this time and you've been talking about it. You might ask, who thinks they want this in their space?
Mhm,
You
mhm.
ask the question and see who responds. And you get the opportunity to say, well, no, I don't think it'll fit in that space. And you get to say why. Or you
Mhm.
just get to, you know what? I'm not talking to you. I don't know. However you choose to respond. Like y'all bullshit. I'm
Okay.
not playing with you.
Oh my god. Okay, that's actually really good, and we did have Greg actually created these beautiful, benches that were they're, well, benches, little seating, I don't know, shapes that were for a very specific purpose, but they're really gorgeous and utilitarian. And he did do that. He ended up selling them, even though we parted ways with this particular client, and they're still using them today.
Oh, wow.
Um, so maybe he and I need to talk more about thinking that way, about more permanent placements
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
stuff.
And that is definitely a thing because if it's going to be permanent, if it's something that the client is going to want to keep after
Mhm.
say the year rotation or the quarterly rotation,
Mhm.
then that adds on another price point
Yeah.
because you count on that piece to have a certain lifetime value. Say
Yep.
if it's a piece that can live for 2 or 3 years but it's
Yeah.
not supposed to live in the same space, then if
Right.
they want to keep it, then you know what, you got to compensate me for those 3 years and I'm not going to make money on it.
That's
And
a
that's a
really
big
good
ass price
point.
ticket.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah, I never think like this. This is why we need you.
That's what I tell
I
people. This is why I went into business coaching, but branding just happened to call me. And that was the only thing, because it's understanding the actual value. Like, the value is not on you. And I hate when people put that on them. They should pay me what I'm worth. No, they should pay you for what the work is worth.
yeah,
You're fucking irreplaceable. You are
I love it.
priceless. So that has nothing to do with you. But this work right here, oh, you gonna roll me out my money for my shit.
Yeah, that's it's so important. I really not attaching value to of yourself to your work. Oh man,
Yeah.
I learned that I learned that the hard way, and I don't wish that on anybody. You
Yeah.
are not your work.
You're not your work.
You are not your work.
And so as you like I say, as you become more popular and you end up in more places and more people see you, like I said, the demand is going to get greater. And because demand is greater, you have to raise the price in order for some people to fall off, because you might not want to say no
Oh,
to them. So
yeah.
you allow the price to say no. That's what that
That's
price does for you.
great. I love that.
Okay.
That's an easier way.
That's the easier one.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and it's honest. It's
Yes.
100. I need things that are honest. Like, it's really important.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I'm avoiding or manipulating. I really like that. Yeah.
And I, like I said, I see you, like, another piece that I'm telling you that my mind works crazy, because what I'm thinking, like, as you begin to travel and you begin to do these installation pieces, now you garner a network of interns
I've
that
been
will
thinking
help
about
you.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You garner a network of interns that whenever you're in town, maybe you give them a stipend of some kind and they help you with the installation. And this way, you don't have to go to every city that you go to and try and get something, or try and do it all by yourself. And you can
Oh,
have people
yeah.
in a city. It's like, okay, maybe also every once in a while you have to have them do some outside work. So now they do other little contract things for you. Like, I need you to go check out this venue, take pictures, do this thing, let us know the dimensions and all of that kind of stuff. And so now you're also creating an economy for some smaller known artists. So
That is a great idea. Yeah, I love that. I was
yeah.
thinking kind of moving slowly towards the idea of more internships. I paid internships, paid
Mhm.
in some way, but yeah, because it's really hard to be everywhere all the time.
Yes.
And
Yes.
especially if it's a physical location, that would be super helpful.
Yeah. And so, like I said, you build your brand around being known for these things. And that's how your brand begins to take on shape and different things. It's like, I know that she's coming here. Now interns start saying, you know what, Heather, can we come help you with this?
Yeah,
Heather, because we love your work. Can we come do this with you?
that'd be
Because
great.
now they get to tack their name onto yours and it gives them credibility.
That's a good point too. I never think like that either. Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, value. That's
Yes.
important. Yeah.
And like I said, the thing about it and what I love about branding is that even though I'm the ghetto country grandmother, and even though I come with a certain energy and a certain vibe, there are certain things that I can say no to within my business that I probably won't say no to personally, because I'm just that weak. I just I just want to help everybody. But I have bills to pay. I got a husband and a daughter and all that kind of stuff. So I still have to, so I stand over here. When I say my life, brand, and business, it's all my fucking life. This is my business life, my brand life, and just my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
But my over here in my personal, my business and my brand have to pay for these things.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to stop devaluing our work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the value that I bring. I'm not, like I say, I'm not for sale. I am not an asset. Ghetto country grandmother is an asset. If anybody thinks they ever want to step in these shoes and they want to buy this thing and they want to go and try to do all of what I do, that's the asset.
Mm-hmm.
But the work that I bring, the questions that I ask, the things that I help you come to fruition with,
Mm-hmm.
that is the work, and that's why it is what it is. And so as you do this artistically, there are certain things that it just goes with this. And especially now, because it is you and Greg doing this thing
Mm-hmm.
together, there
Mm-hmm.
has to be a level of agreement as well. It's like, okay, baby, how are we going to move? But then you also have to, I had this thing, and I know I jumped tracks real quick. I'm sorry. But I had this thing. I used to work with my husband. I worked with him for 10 years when we had the restaurant. And I came up with the sanity thing. It had to,
Yeah, I understand. You need
had to
it.
come up
Yes.
with a thing about sanity, because the biggest one was the why at the end. You got to yield. You got to yield to his expertise, and he has to yield to yours. You can't be crossing over into my zone, dude, and I can't cross over into yours.
That's really good. Yeah.
Because I'm going to refer to your authority in this area. If you say this is how it's supposed to be cooked, this is how it's supposed to be cooked. But when I tell you that this fucking contract is no good and we're not doing it, then you have to trust that I'm gonna do that. So if Greg tells you that this weighs too daggone much, I'm not lifting this shit, he knows. But when you say this should not be whatever your expertise is, drawn, look like, colored, or whatever, you have to respect those boundaries and so forth. So there has to be alignment in this growth as you guys grow. You have to make sure that you're both going the same way, but it should not take anything away from, you know what, I need my space.
Right. Yeah.
So there, if I say, can I take the lead on this piece, then let me take the lead. And if I ask you to take the lead and you agree, take the lead. Don't come asking me no bullshit. I don't want to be bothered.
Yep. Yes. Don't bug me.
See, I know, don't I? Don't I?
Yeah. Oh, yes, you do. Yeah.
But there's, so like I say, I understand that. And so doing higher priced regular projects would probably be better for you, because it does not take away from you having time and space and opportunity to create something that is just for Heather, that does not involve him, and he's able to do the same, that does not involve you.
Yes.
Everything does not have to fall under C.A.M.P, but you can still go do your artistic thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we have to, like, to stay sane, we need our separate creative outlets. Otherwise we will really fight. So yeah. Yeah, we have to. You know, one thing, excuse me, one thing you said earlier too was, I've been thinking a lot about this, the person versus the brand. I had someone tweet at me the other day, would I work for free or unpaid? And I said, no, F no. And they sent me a meme of being angry. And I said, I'm not angry.
No.
Me as the brand will never, ever, ever work for free, because what you're saying is you value my talent, but not me.
Yes.
And that's not okay. And I think people get confused. Me as a person, if you're my friend, sure, we can, you know, work something out or, you know, help each other. But as a business, I have to eat.
Yes.
And time I give you for free is taking time away from my ability to support myself. I feel like people, they just don't get it. They get really confused.
And that's because most of the times, like I tell my clients all the time, everybody that you serve thinks they're Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately? That's all they want to know. That's all they want to know. What have you done for me? I don't care what you're going through.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, if you're going to be selfish about your shit, you're going to have to pay me for you being selfish.
Ooh, that's good.
If it's all about you, then you have to roll me out my money to make it all about you. I don't have a problem with that.
Wow. That's really good.
That's the thing. Because picking my brain, I tell people, you cannot pick my brain to the point of picking my pocket. If I give you something, then trust and believe. I'm giving it to you, knowing that sometimes I know when people are trying to use me. But sweetie, I'm gonna let you go ahead and have all of this. You can have all of this. Bet your punk ass can't go out and work it though. That's the thing. You can't do shit with it after I tell you. You're gonna fuck it up. It's gonna be raggedy. So you know what? Take it off. Let me see you make it work.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to you sitting down, oh, can we go through your framework? Roll me out my money. Sure, we can. Well, I just need a little help. Then you need to go ask a little person, because I'm not that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So it's with the understanding, and this is why I say I'm the empath. I'm that empathic bitch, sweetie. I know in my life I can be soft. I can have all the empathy. I can give away all of my shit. In my business, no, fuck off. This is where I get paid. I don't have another job.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not giving this to you. No, you cannot be my mentee, because again, you're trying to use me. No. I get to choose my mentees. I get to choose what I give away to who the fuck I want to give it away to.
Yeah.
Because see, the thing that'll come back on me when why you didn't do that for Black people? Because the Black person didn't step up. How about that? Mind your fucking business.
Yep.
Because that'll be the first thing that a Black person will come at me with. But don't get me on that road. I'll get mad for real. But it's not to say that I would not help a Black person. It is not to say I won't help a Asian person or whatever.
Yeah.
But don't try and dictate to me who I'm supposed to help and when and how. Because you don't know what I'm doing when I'm not being the ghetto country grandmother.
True.
I don't announce my shit. That's why I say there are boundaries. There are boundaries around, this is the ghetto country grandmother, this is Phyllis. Phyllis does not wave a Black flag. I know that I'm fucking Black. I don't need February to tell me it's Black History Month. Hell, I'm Black all fucking year. So I don't go around waving my Black flag. But you trust and believe over here as Phyllis, y'all don't know what I'm doing. So it doesn't matter. But that's just a little tangent. I'm sorry, y'all. But when you're doing your thing and you decide that this is what I want to do, what I want to get paid for, you get to decide if you want to give it away or not. But you're also deciding, do I want to eat? Do I want my lights to come on? Do I want my heat to come on? And if people don't understand that, then that's on them. Because people are trying to get as much free information off of you to go and make $1 million. Are you fucking kidding me? You want to take all of this free shit and try to go charge somebody else a premium price? Take your raggedy ass on. So somebody asking you to work for free is an insult.
I agree. I so agree. There's so many levels that you just addressed all at once. And it was so deep and so helpful, Phyllis. Thank you.
You're so welcome, sweetie. Because like I said, I'm tired of people surviving. I want to see people thrive. And I know that branding will definitely help that. I'm not saying it's the answer to everything, but branding is about building relationships, which a lot of people don't recognize. And I don't do the B2C and the B2B. No, it's not business to business. It's not business to consumer. It's fucking person to person. Why have a fucking ideal client if all you're going to ever call them is a consumer?
Ugh.
That means they're just eating shit up.
Yeah.
No, they're not a consumer.
Yeah. Consumers, creatives. I don't. Yeah. It's so impersonal. I don't like it.
So I don't treat any of my clients like a consumer. That's why once they work with me, you still got to roll me out my money, but that's my fam. And I'm going to fight for them just as if they were actually my fam. You don't get to talk about my clients. You don't get to run them down to me. You don't get to say shit about them to me. That's my fam. And so building my brand around that, when I talk about fam and why you call them fam? Some people don't treat your clients like family. That's you. I don't care. That's not the way I do business. The same with, I don't do one to many. I do one to few. My shit that comes out, 7 to 10 people. That's as much as I can handle, except open house. Open house at some point is going to max out at 49 because that's all I can see on the Zoom screen. If you don't get into that 49, you're not getting into the open house. You don't get to hang out with me. I'm not flipping screens. Who said that? Who said that? No, I got to see all y'all faces right here. And because of the type of work that you do and you're talking about doing, this is installation. Everybody can't have it. I'm sorry. No. You should make a smaller version because everybody can't afford, sweetie. If you can't afford it, don't worry about it. It's not for you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's no way. it's too much work. Yeah,
it's too much work.
It's too much work. Yeah.
And you get to decide what your minimum level of engagement is. If they don't meet that minimum level of engagement, sweetie, I can't help you right now. But once I get to a certain price point, maybe I'll come back and give you something for free that you won't even have to pay for. I get to make that choice. But right now, this is me growing and scaling my business so that I can go back and do the philanthropic things that I want to do.
Yeah, exactly. Greg and I talk about that a lot. We talk about we're the kind of people that should have a lot of money because once we get to a point where we're stabilized, we'll turn around and do amazing things for people with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's the thing. So you have the ability, you have the capabilities, you have the talent, you got all that. And you got a husband to help. Hell.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I acknowledge that. Not everybody can work with their spouse. I get it. So
No, they
I am
cannot.
very lucky.
No, they cannot. Trust me, y'all. That's a whole new conversation right there. Maybe I'm gonna do a group calls like, "Ooh, being married to the business." Come on, y'all.
I know. Yeah. If you don't, I'm just really grateful and I'm really lucky that we kind of work together. That's how we met. So we kind of know how to work in that rhythm, but it is not for everybody.
No, it's not. It's not.
Mm-mm.
So, sweetie, do you
Yes.
have any other questions for me? Because we're gonna wrap this up so I don't hold you up.
No, I mean, that last round about value and being the one who decides what they give away, you just answered so many of my questions. On so many levels all at once. That was super helpful.
No problem.
Thank you.
No problem. So, y'all, I am so grateful for Miss Heather. Like I say, this chick right here, she is all the things. And if she could, she would give it away all the fucking time. So, and y'all know how I feel. I tell all my clients, raise your prices. That is the first thing. When you get to work with me, what is your price? So I know what we're raising it to.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm not about chasing money, but I am not about you cheaping out on yourself because you don't think anybody else will pay the price that you ask. They will, but you have to have confidence in their price. And that's the thing. Not a bullshit price. So, oh, well, everybody else is charging that. That's because they have the experience. I've been rocking entrepreneurship for over 20 years. So I know how to do a thing. I built a multi-million-dollar business. I know how to do a thing. All of these things that are doable, part of what your price entails is the experience that you have. I was on a call with someone the other day and they were saying that she was trying to hire psychologists or counselors or something like that. And because they have their MBA, they want her to pay them like $75,000 with no experience.
Whoa.
I'm like, seriously? 75 grand. You ain't had a patient, a client or nothing, but you want $75,000 out the gate to ruin my business. You better kiss my whole ass.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But yeah. So, Ms. Heather, how can people contact you, or do you want them to reach out right now as you're rebranding? Tell us what we can do for you?
So I'm on Instagram as Heather Crank, but you can also find me under Cremonti. I will be launching a new website probably in March. And you can look at what's up there right now. It's a little dated, but it's Cremonti.com, CRAHMANTI.com. I'm also on all the socials. You can find me under Heather Crank on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. I'm on TikTok. I'm everywhere.
She's everywhere. All right, babies, there you have it. That was our recent house guest, Miss Heather Crank, and we're going to get on up out of here. So y'all know what? 5, bullshit happens, so suck it up. 4, your voice is important, so speak up. 3, you make the world a more beautiful place, so show up. 2, life is good, so buck up. And 1, I love you and ain't a damn thing you can do about it, so shut the fuck up. Peace and hair grease, y'all. I'm out.